Ohio State Buckeyes, position by position. Next on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. All right, we are breaking down the Buckeyes. We got Kevin Noon on the line from Buckeye Grove. We are going position by position. We encourage you to go back to the video that Kevin and I put together looking at the Ohio State quarterback position. Now we're going to the trenches. And what could possibly turn out to be the most problematic position, Kevin, is the offensive line with Thayer Munford coming back, but nobody else along that starting group, although Wyatt Davis got in a couple of key starts late in the season in the Big Ten championship game in the Rose Bowl. Plenty of stars next to these guys' names, but little proven along the offensive front.
Well, let's not forget, Brandon Bowen was a starter at guard. I mean, he's in the mix. He could swing out to tackle. Josh Alabi got a start in the Rose Bowl as well. So, I mean, there are guys that have played. I mean, and more than just coming in and playing on, point after tries and things along those lines. They've seen significant minutes. But, if you really look at things just straight up from how it looks, in the press guide, they're only returning one starter on the offensive line, and there's a lot of concern there too. That's why they ended up going out to Rutgers, getting a graduate transfer in Jonah Jackson, who should step into one of the offensive guard positions. That gives them an all Big Ten performer alongside, Thayer Munford, even though I don't know if he's going to be on the left side or the right side. That, to be determined at this point. Coaches were very high on Josh Myers at center. That's been a position of high turnover here recently. They've had to move guards to center with Pat Elflein, with Billy Price, with Michael Jordan. Josh Myers came in really as a center. He's been a center all along. I think he's going to perform very well at that position. I think ultimately it just comes down to who is going to be that other starting tackle. Is it going to be Josh Alabi? Is it going to be Brandon Bowen? Is it going to be Nicholas Petit-Freire? A player who, he told us during the offseason that he has to eat 8,000 calories a day. I look at a cheese Danish and I gain 5 pounds. He has to eat, he has to wake up in the middle of the night to stay on, to stay at weight. I mean, they need him up there at 295. He's a 5-star type of player. He could step into that role. So they have a lot of options, but you got to remember the nature of an offensive line. They have to move as one, they have to play as a unit. What is going to be the best configuration to get the best 5 out there? And they're going to have something they haven't really had in the past. And I think they're going to have some depth this year. And I think that just because of that, we're going to see some 2s play meaningful minutes, not in the fourth quarter. I think we're going to see them come in just so we're not in a situation down the road where Ohio State is only bringing one starter back and maybe doesn't have the luxury of having, Wyatt Davis playing in a couple games, a Brandon Bowen, a Josh Alabi, those types of guys.
And you touch upon the complexity of the position and what needs to be determined to put together a starting unit versus you're the best wide receiver, you're number 2, you're 3, you're 4, we'll throw you out there. You're the best corner, you're 2, you're 3, you're 4, and we'll throw you out in that manner. This is a group that has to work together unlike any other group on the field. Linebacker, I guess, would be second, but this is far and away the most cohesive unit, or what needs to be the most cohesive unit. So yeah, if a particular player, maybe he's not one of the best 5 in terms of talent and ability, but he can play 3 different positions and we feel comfortable in these 3 different slots. And then this one guy, wow, he can only play here. And it's a mixing and matching game of trying to figure out what the best unit's going to be on the field.
Exactly. I mean, if your 4 best offensive linemen are all tackles, I mean, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to slide them inside? I mean, we've seen what happens with a guard that's big. I mean, with Michael Jordan, we saw it with a center that was oversized. I mean, you have to find the right configuration right there. And I think Ohio State is set up, for a good run there. And then, just kind of getting back to the recruiting. I mean, they're going crazy. I think they've got 5 offensive linemen already in the class. We're really going to see a lot of turnover here in the next year or so when it comes to the offensive line, because including Jonah Jackson, the graduate transfer from Rutgers, they only have 5 offensive linemen that are either junior or senior eligibility at this point. I mean, a lot of guys are young guys, so the future of the line is exciting.
It's exciting. They need to clean it up in the run game in particular. They just didn't have quite the dominant performance in the run game, which affected J.K. Dobbins in particular. And that's a key element to getting them where they want to go.
Yeah, exactly. But when you sit there and you have a pass first, pass second type of quarterback in Dwayne Haskins, I mean, you're pass blocking and you're not exactly exploding off of exploding out there and run blocking at this point. I think with more of a mobile quarterback with Justin Fields and the setup there, we're going to see a return to more run blocking at that situation. J.K. Dobbins went down from something like 7.3 yards per carry as a freshman to something closer to like 4.5 as a sophomore. He did hit 1,000 yards, to become a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher, but he didn't do it until the Big Ten championship game 13 of the season. So, I think he'd be the first to admit that he had an off season, but it's more than just J.K. Dobbins at that point, the offensive line. But I think it was the scheme too, where they just weren't run blocking as much. And toward the end of the season, especially around Maryland, they had to run block a little bit more. And I think we saw a little bit of a better outcome from them.